What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Moto G Power 2026. Now, this is one of the latest budget devices from Motorola, and I'm really excited to show it to you here in this video. So let's get started. So this is the Motorola Moto G Power 2026. Now, as the name of this phone does imply, it is the successor to last year's Moto G Power 2025, and I will be comparing this phone to that phone in a separate video, so definitely stay tuned for that content. Now, overall, the Moto G Power series of devices has been super popular over the years because even though these are meant to be very affordable smartphones, we're still getting a lot of capabilities here, and it's certainly a good, usable smartphone if you just want a reliable device that you can use on a day-to-day basis. Now, just like its predecessors, I am expecting the Moto G Power 2026 to be offered through various carriers, and I'm sure as time goes on, more and more carriers will actually be offering this phone. But in addition to that, the phone is also available factory unlocked at a full MSRP of $299. Now, in comparison, usually when phones are sold through a carrier, the devices are usually subsidized to give you a further incentive to actually switch into that carrier. So if you do want to go the carrier route, then you can definitely save some money on the Moto G Power 2026 versus buying it at the full retail MSRP price. But it really depends on the options and availability of this phone with the carrier of your choice. And of course, if you buy the phone factory unlocked, you always have that full freedom to switch from carrier to carrier with no limitations at all. But before we get too far into things here with the Moto G Power 2026, let's see what all comes included in the box. But you can see it's a pretty slim box, and we have the name of the phone, and it is indeed 2026. So we'll open this up and see what all is in here. But there is no USB wall adapter, just to give you a heads up. Basically, we're just getting this packet in the box. And then within that packet, we have some literature. We also have a SIM card removal tool, and then finally, we have a double-sided USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And speaking of that, this phone does support up to 30-watt fast charging, but if you want to get that full fast charging speed, which is definitely a nice feature that we're getting here, you will want to make sure that this cable or USB-C cable of your choice is actually paired up with a USB wall adapter that does support at least 30-watt fast charging, because if you're using a cheaper wall adapter, then you won't get those fast charging speeds, and that's honestly a really convenient thing to be able to actually recharge this phone very quickly. But despite this being a budget smartphone, we're actually getting a very large display here with the Moto G Power 2026. So with this device, we're getting a 6.8-inch display, and covering that display is Corning Gorilla Glass 7i, making it extra durable, especially by budget phone standards. Now, the actual display technology that we're getting here is IPS LCD, so unfortunately it's not OLED or AMOLED, so it is a little bit of a step down from that. We are getting a 120Hz refresh rate though, which is really nice. And in fact, to get that fast refresh rate, you're going to want to make sure that you go over to the settings on the device. Then from there, go down to display, and then from there you'll see display refresh rate. So if you go there, by default, it's actually set to smart and balanced, which actually isn't necessarily that bad because it will help with your battery life a little bit with the device. But that means that sometimes the phone will be running at 120 Hz, but sometimes it will be going down to 60 Hz. Now, if you do want to save some battery life even further, you can switch it down to 60 Hz at all times. But if you switch over to that, you are getting a little bit of a choppier experience when using this phone, and I personally really find a lot of value in that faster refresh rate, which is why I personally have chosen to go with Hyper Smooth instead. So now when you're navigating around the phone, it is super smooth, as Hyper Smooth would suggest, which I feel like gives this phone a lot more of a premium experience. So again, I'm really glad that it does have a 120Hz refresh rate. Now, one downside though with this display is that there is a peak brightness of 1000 nits, and compared to a flagship device, which is typically around 3000 nits, you can kind of get the comparison right there. This phone just doesn't get as bright. And in addition to that, with it being IPS LCD, you're not getting as good of viewing angles. So the point is that if you work outside, for example, quite a bit, and you want to use your phone outdoors, or just maybe you're just constantly outside, which is a good thing, but if you want to look at your phone's display, a phone like this one with the lower peak brightness and then an LCD panel here isn't quite as good for that. It's not going to be a total deal breaker, but there might be some situations where you want to go into the shade if you want to look at your phone's display, just because it doesn't get as bright, especially compared to the more expensive phones out there. But on the other hand, with this phone being as affordable as it is, it does make sense that there are some very clear compromises, and that is one of them. Now, on a more positive note, this phone does have a 1080p display, We're getting a PPI of 387. We're getting a 19.9 by 9 aspect ratio, so definitely a tall display here with this device, but that actually makes the phone pretty easy to hold in one hand, despite it having a very big display. So overall, I really like the configuration that we're getting here with this phone. And then finally, we're getting an 86.3% screen to body ratio, with pretty small bezels all throughout, but the bottom bezel is slightly thicker. But in general, this phone looks and feels more expensive than it technically is. You've got to remember, this is really an affordable option, and we're getting a lot of good specifications despite that. Now up top here, I do like that there is a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 32 megapixels. Also with this device, we're getting 128 gigabytes of storage, along with micro SD card expansion. So definitely having SD card expansion is a nice feature. I know there's still a lot of people that are looking for phones that do offer that, so at least know that you are getting that here if you want to offload photos and videos, for example, to free up some of the internal space in your phone. But even with 128 gigs, that's actually a lot of storage that we're getting here with this device. Now, unfortunately, there is no wireless charging with the Moto G Power 2026, and that was actually a nice surprise feature that we had last year with the 2025 model, is that phone actually does have wireless charging, and that's typically something that you don't even find with phones in this pricing segment. So sadly, now with this new generation of the Moto G Power, they have removed that feature. So maybe they saw that no one was really using it. However, I personally find it to be a useful feature, so it is a little bit disappointing. Now with this device, we are getting a fingerprint sensor located on the power button, and that's really fast and responsive, so that works really well. And with this device, we're also getting face unlock. So it is nice that we're getting multiple ways of getting into the phone. Now on the back of the device, we're getting a dual camera setup. So don't be tricked here that there is a third camera. I'm not really sure what this is. It kind of looks like a camera, but this phone only has two cameras. We're getting a 50 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. And then with this phone, we're also getting portrait mode for both the front and rear cameras, which is great. But unfortunately, video recording is limited at 1080p for the front and rear cameras. But at least this year, we are getting up to 60 frames per second for the 1080p video with the rear camera. Now here's how things look in the camera app on the device. This is the main rear camera right now. Then from there, you can go over to 0.5 for that ultra wide camera. And with that, you can fit a lot more content into a single frame. And then you'll see this button right here is for the macro mode. So with macro, you can get a lot closer up and have things be in good detail. But that mystery camera is not the macro camera. You can see if I cover it up, you can still use the macro mode. So macro is clearly using one of the two other cameras, which is fine. But again, I just don't know what that random camera looking thing is. Now, if we go over to the More tab, there's even more options here. You can scan documents, there's a photo booth option, night vision, time lapse, dual capture video, panorama, which is really nice. There's a pro mode here, so you can make a lot of different adjustments. There is portrait mode, like I mentioned. And then when we flip around to the front-facing camera, there's me right there. You can capture portrait selfies as well. And you can also crop out a little bit for a group selfie option. So you can do that in both the regular selfie mode and also portrait. So really nice that we're getting all these various abilities here with this device, despite this technically being a budget smartphone. And then with this phone, we're getting 8 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 processor. Now overall, I feel like that's a pretty good configuration. Like I mentioned, I'm very early on here with this device, so I really have to get a better feel for it to give you my full opinions as far as performance goes. But so far, things have been really good here with the phone. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores from that test. So I'll show you here right now. But you can see I got a single core score of 785 and a multi-core score of 2113. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Moto G Power 2026 really measures up to the phone that you currently have. Because you certainly would not want to get this phone if it's actually a downgrade from your current device. Now with this device, we are getting a very large 5,200 milliamp hour internal battery. So that is a bigger battery compared to last year. And then like I mentioned earlier in the video, we are getting 30 watt fast charging, which is a very nice feature. So definitely like that fast charging, especially when it's paired up with a big battery. We're also getting Android 16 out of the box, pretty much a more basic version of Android. I mean, it is basically just Android. So Motorola has added in some of their own bonus features, but in general, it is pretty similar to stock Android if you're familiar with that, which I think for a lot of people, that's not even a bad thing. We're getting NFC for this device, so you can use it for tap and pay. We are getting stereo audio out of both the main speaker in the bottom and the earpiece up top. And then this material on the back of the phone feels really nice. It is similar to other materials we've seen from other Motorola budget phones, so this is considered silicone polymer or eco leather, but I feel like this texture is just a little bit different from what I've experienced previously with other budget Motorola's, and I really like the feel of this material. So it feels really nice, high quality. It's kind of like a woven material, but I feel like this will actually be very durable as time goes on, which is exactly what you're looking for with a material on your smartphone. So you probably still will want to pair up a case with this device just so that the phone is a little bit better protected, but just know that the actual material we're getting here on the phone is really nice on its own. Now on the right side here, we're getting volume up, volume down. We're also getting the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. On the left side here, we've got the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Up top, we've got the noise canceling microphone. On the bottom of the phone, this is a nice surprise. We're getting a 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and then we've got that main speaker. And then on the back of the device, there's not a whole lot here, just the camera module, flash, we've got the Motorola logo right there, and that's pretty much it. So in general, I'm actually very happy about the Moto G Power 2026. Of course, this phone isn't really bringing too much new to the table compared to last year, and if anything, we're actually losing out on features such as wireless charging. But overall, it's still a good evolution of what we had previously, and definitely if you're not looking to spend too much money on a smartphone, but you still want a good quality device, then I do think the Moto G Power 2026 should be a phone worth considering. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. This is Kevin here. This is the Moto G Power 2026, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and have a great rest of your day.